hello and welcome to Kumo Talk Season 2, Episode 5. And today we have the wonderful Iman who is going to come and chat with us about the Web3 security because as we know, there's been a lot of different hacks and scams that's been going around the place. And one second. I did actually have a little Google on Web3 hacks in 2022. And would you believe that this year alone, we've had over $2 billion lost to hacks in the Web3 space, only in the Web3 space alone. And then 37.46 million was lost to rug pull projects in quarter two this year. So that's not even including quarter one. So you can just about imagine how many people are going through a lot of stress about hacks and scams because it seems like they're getting smarter and there's always new hacks coming up, so that's why we thought we'd bring up this topic to talk about in Kumo Talks and bring in the pro and very knowledgeable Iman. Iman, you work in the
Yeah,
security space, right?
yeah, exactly. Have been initially, actually, I came into the Web3 space more through the traditional NFT collector angle.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped in as an NFT collector about a year ago, and had been just like flipping projects. I had my share of scams that I ran into. Fortunately, I can say that I've only been like properly scammed or like properly wallet drained one time, and it was on Solana. But definitely, I have been rug pulled several times before. And we can go through all of the different definitions for these like nuanced words: scams versus rug pulled versus hacked. But yeah, I think this is the right time for a conversation like this. Myself and my team actually at Ancient Warriors is an NFT collection we put out in January. We felt like one of the biggest, most important things to do right now in the space was to onboard new people into Web3, and that's why we created this collection. But in the process of onboarding new people into the space and actually seeing how vulnerable people are to hacks and scams and exploits, we actually took a step back from that onboarding work and we said, hey, okay, um, what can we do to resolve this security problem at the most basic level? How can we prevent people from getting scammed? And so that's kind of what we are doing right now. If you look at my like Twitter, you won't really see too much information about the specific product that we're building because it's kind of in stealth. And so we're not going to spend too much time in this conversation talking like specifically about what we're doing, but more so around kind of the general landscape of security issues right now in Web3, how they're being tackled by different players, and what you can do as an individual investor to keep yourself safe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Iman, for I don't say Iman. Iman sounds very posh. Iman. Iman. Thanks for that. And so like I guess to get started then, what would you say would be the let's say top tips for individuals? Let's start off with them first. Individual investors of keeping safe from hacks and scams in the Web3 space.
Yeah, so there's actually a really good Twitter thread that came out this morning from OK Hotshot. If you're kind of deep in like the security landscape, OK Hotshot. He's like, I guess he's like an on-chain analyst, kind of like blockchain police type of person. I'm gonna go ahead and pin that thread to the screen right now because I'm probably gonna walk through some of the points in it. But it basically covers 13 different types of NFT scams that you should be aware of. It's kind of like some of the most commonly used scams, like phishing scams and social media hacks and things like that. So I think we'll walk through some of those. But before I like dive specifically into that thread, I think at the most basic level, I think like everybody needs to understand like why there's a scam issue happening right now, because I feel like not everyone has like taken a step back just to even like understand like what's going on here. So like the reason why you're seeing so many like individual investors, people like me and you, are getting hacked right now, and like this is actually like a quite a new problem within crypto, because if you think about it, in the earlier days of crypto, most of the assets were locked up and stored on these large exchanges, right? So like you heard about these huge exploits like the Mount Gox incident, where the exchange was exploited, and $300 million was stolen in one instant from that exchange, right? You still hear about exploits like this happening. The most recent one was probably the bridge, the Nomad Bridge protocol got hacked. I think it was around like a couple $100 million. It may have been up to $1 billion, but yeah, it was definitely a lot of money. But the point I'm trying to make is, though, is that like in the past, that was really the only type of exploit that scammers were going for within crypto, because all of the money was stored up on these large exchanges. But now today, you see with the advent of DeFi, with NFTs that just exploded over the past year, now a lot of the assets have shifted, not just in these like centralized exchanges, but now in our own custody through decentralized wallets like MetaMask. And so like quite literally, like the place, like the point at which a scammer can most easily withdraw crypto assets from people in the space has shifted from those exchanges to me and you. But it's only shifted like that in the past, like, 1 to 2 years. And so you haven't really seen like security products or security infrastructure built that is protecting us from these types of scams. So it is really a wild west right now. There are a lot of people who are working on solutions. So that's like the silver lining. But as it stands, like this is the reason why like this is such a big problem. It's just kind of like the natural evolution of the crypto space, and like infrastructure hasn't necessarily caught up to like the latest trend. Um, yeah, so let me take a pause there. If you have any reactions to that, and then I'm happy to kind of dive into some of like the specific types of scams.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. That before was it was almost like we were relying on these platforms to keep our crypto safe. Um, but now it's like it's in our own hands, and with human error is really where a lot of these kind of things happen. We it's almost like played on a psychological level, and we don't have that the platform people to keep us in check whether, oh yeah, you shouldn't hand out your seed phrase, as obvious as it sounds, although sometimes people say, why would you ever hand out your seed phrase? Well, there's a lot of hacks and scams that would kind of depending on how they do it, right? So if they were to mimic someone else, like a support service where, oh, you need me to check this for you, then you need to send me your seed phrase, which we always say never send out your seed phrase. But you could have like the best security in the world, but if it's down to one person just doing something really stupid and ending up with, getting, not saying that you did anything terrible, but getting their wallet drained by just doing something really stupid, even though they might have the best security, then it's really down to human error at, like, at the most fundamental level. So that's why there's like hackers are way way smart now, because they're thinking, oh well, instead of having to rely or to try and hack through all these security from these big platforms who have probably invested a lot of money into making their platform very secure, we'll just go straight to the consumers. We'll go straight to the people who actually hold all their assets, and we will somehow manipulate them into giving us what we want. So there's a lot in that sense to look out for when you're new in this space. That's all I wanted to add there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and you combine what you just mentioned, kind of like like we ourselves now have to kind of like be smarter about our own security. Combine that with the fact that like NFTs are just naturally fueled by hype FOMO, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Right, like every single person who's been scammed before has probably been scammed, like trying to make more money, and like it makes sense. Like you just completely like I feel like you're disincentivized to do your own research. You're disincentivized to like take that extra 5 minutes to make sure that you're like dealing with the right protocol, right? Because like in that extra 5 minutes, like that opportunity could sell out, and then you all of a sudden miss out on like the next Goblin Town,
Yeah.
free mint for like 5 ETH pump.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
where like a lot of the psychology comes in, right? Because almost like FOMO, and then you go, oh well, that's another thing where people should always do their own research, with things, especially like free mints, because even though it's a free mint, you still have to sign from your contract, and that's where a lot of people fall into prey or victim to these scams because it's free mint. What could I possibly lose?
yeah,
Your wallet getting drained.
yeah, it's crazy. Like the one interesting article I read recently basically like dove into one particular wallet draining template. And I'm trying to see if they have like wallet drainers listed in that thread that I shared. I guess they don't have like wallet drainers specifically listed there because the thread is more so talking about like where the scam is happening. So like okay, a Discord bot exploit or like a Twitter social media exploit. So yeah, they're not talking specifically about like the technical tool that's being leveraged to drain assets. But yeah, there was an article that I read that kind of went into that, and basically they uncovered a, let's call it like a scam in a box solution, or scam as a
Oh
software,
wow.
like scam SaaS tool, where you could pay about $100 to get like this free wallet draining solution, and you could go ahead and use that and like presumably drain thousands up to hundreds of thousands of dollars within a few days after you only paid $100 to get that. So like I don't think that was something that existed a year ago, but scammers have managed to simplify and productize their most common exploits to essentially just like lower the barrier for other scammers to come and do the same thing. Um, so like, yeah, I I'll stop with all the doom and gloom, but it is all of these points that I'm sharing are just kind of to demonstrate like, hey, this is why the situation is like this. It is that easy. It is incredibly easy to like go and figure out how to do a wallet drain. There's probably people in this chat who've done it. No, let me not say that. But yeah, like the scammers, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So even me personally, I'm still like looking for ways to like how do we, because every time someone discovers a new exploit, like you better believe that there are scammers who are like reading those Twitter messages, reading those Twitter threads, and then they're saying like, oh, okay, you think you got us now? Oh well, wait till we show you this. you know that's kind of like the catch 22. I feel like it's really like a, what do you call it, a weapons race.
Yeah, for sure. It's like because there's a lot of people, or I don't remember who it was, but it's an account that they actually go through all the hacks like in like a technical way. Like this is how they hack it, this is this, and then this is how you find out whether it's a hack. And then I feel like people who are doing the hacking are following these people to see, oh, okay, so that's how they found out that this is a hack. Let me go and top up my hacking skill just a little bit so that you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, no one knows who these hackers are. The
Anonymous.
anonymous nature of the space definitely makes it a little bit easier to do that. But hey, like there's a couple things that we can talk about on like the, let's say like the solution side of things.
Hmm.
Just to kind of get away from all the doom and gloom. We've shared a lot of like the, hey, like okay, this is why this is happening. We have some example scams that folks can take a look at. I would even say if you're in the audience and like you would like to, you'd like us to kind of dive into some of those specific types of scams. Maybe you haven't heard of like a swap scam before, or you haven't heard of like the latest listing scam where like there's like there's like fake offers on your NFTs on OpenSea, and you think they're real offers, and if you like accept those offers, like something weird happens. um if there's particular areas where you would like us to cover, like just throw up your hand, or feel free to like shoot me a DM, and we can do that. But uh if not, I would like to kind of talk about like some of the things that are being developed, some of the stuff that our team is developing, as well as a lot of the other security teams that we've been speaking with and partnering with for the past couple months. So there's probably like 3 or 4 like new points of vulnerabilities that it's exciting. I'm seeing people like develop solutions around. One of them is like the smart contract itself, right? This I think is like it might be like the most obvious thing, um, because right, if you sign a malicious smart contract and you get your wallet drained, like everybody should know that that's a malicious smart contract. So one type of solution would be, hey, once you get your wallet drained, report that smart contract, and everybody hears that you reported it. Everybody hears that it drained your wallet, so everyone else knows not to interact with it. That's kind of how things are right now. Like on Twitter and Discord, people generally are sharing like scam alerts after they happen. But a lot of people are kind of trying to, including us, are trying to move things more towards like proactive scam detection. So rather than like, okay, someone got scammed already or the damage has already been dealt, now let's add it to our blacklist. Is there a way that you can kind of predict that a smart contract is a scam based off of like the code in the smart contract, or based off of like the function that's being called at the mint website? Right, if it's like a regular NFT mint, then like that function that's being called, there's a way that you can programmatically confirm that that is like a regular NFT mint. You can like simulate the transaction, for example. So if you simulate it and you get like a weird and an unexpected outcome, like, hey, 5 of my NFTs are going into the smart contract and I'm getting nothing back in return, like that's certainly not supposed to happen in an NFT mint, right? Um, then that's something that can be flagged proactively before anyone actually interacts with the smart contract. And I assure you, there are multiple teams that are working on this type of like proactive scam detection at the smart contract or like the transaction level. So that's something that you will see. I mean, MetaMask has kind of already started experimenting a little bit around that, where they have like the set approval for all alerts every time you're about to like sign a transaction that's basically giving a smart contract approvals over all of the NFTs in your wallet. Um, it will actually like give you a different, like a unique type of alert that it doesn't show for any other type of transaction. So like MetaMask is moving in the right direction. Phantom Wallet, which is basically the MetaMask of Solana, they have transaction simulation embedded into their product. And we are hearing about more kind of like smaller wallets, more niche wallets that are like starting off with a stronger degree of security embedded compared to MetaMask. So yes, this trend is going to continue to increase with wallets. We are actually talking with a number of wallets to integrate our security API with them. And yeah, I think like that's something that you can feel good about as individual investors in this space. Like there will be wallets that are like built specifically to solve this problem. The existing wallets that are perhaps like not really solving this problem enough, like they will need to do that. Otherwise, like other people, like users, are going to want to use the wallets that are addressing the problem. So yeah, that's something to be excited about over the next couple months. I think we'll see a lot of innovation there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I know there's a lot of um people who don't really read I mean, it's almost like it's an automatic thing, right? Where, okay, the thing comes up, you have to sign it, you click confirm, and then you just let the thing go. But yeah, that's definitely something that I think people who are coming into this space will need to be familiarize themselves with, right? That you don't just sign everything and anything that pops up.
I think we're it's like we're used to signing stuff like the Web 2 days, Facebook. You don't read through the 30-page terms and conditions before you sign like
Yeah.
Facebook accepting acceptance terms or whatever. Like same thing with all social medias and pretty much every single Web 2 platform. So I think like Web 3's version of terms and conditions is the smart contract. Even if you wanted to read the smart contract, you wouldn't necessarily be able to read it. So it's um, yeah, like it is kind of on the shoulders of like infrastructure builders and like people who are building people who are building like on the infrastructure level need to simplify the terms and conditions so that people can actually like see that stuff for themselves. Otherwise, like you need to have products like ours integrated that make it easier for the users to know when something is bad.
Yeah. So like regarding the you were saying that like wallet drainage, do you think there's another way? Like do you think ledgers are good for that? Or do you think it's like once you've signed it then that's it? Goodbye to everything that you have.
I mean, yeah, even if you have a ledger, like you connect your ledger to smart contracts still.
Hmm.
So it won't solve the wallet draining problem. Once you connect your ledger to something, like it's the same issue. Um, so yeah, it's really just like you. The only way to like solve, or at least the way that traders solve this problem, is by creating burner wallets and like
Yeah.
testing. Okay, I'm never gonna have more than point oh 0.05 or point 0.1 ETH in this burner wallet. That way, if it ever gets drained, like it's not a big deal to me. That's what a lot of people are doing to resolve the problem because hardware wallets aren't enough.
Hmm. And will you just elaborate a bit on like what exactly is a burner wallet
Yeah,
for
so
those?
yeah. So I mean, a burner wallet is basically like a wallet that is meant to be burned. So, it's just kind of like if you're a collector, you probably have a main wallet where you store like your precious NFTs. And it's probably a good idea for you to not connect that main wallet with a lot of different smart contracts. Yes, you can connect it with like OpenSea, um, Uniswap, and some of like the legit websites and smart contracts that you trust. But when it comes to like I'm considering minting new NFTs and I'm considering minting new drops that like I might be among the first 100 people minting this. There's a good chance that I could end up compromising my wallet. You're not going to want to use your main wallet that has all of your NFTs and like all of your crypto assets. So you're probably going to want to have created a spare burner wallet, which again like only holds a very very small amount of assets at any given time, and is like pretty much the only purpose of it is for you to like mint new NFTs and just make sure that it's not a scam. So that's the purpose of a burner wallet. I think everyone who considers themselves an NFT collector should have a burner wallet if you don't already. So it's super easy to create one on MetaMask. You can create as many wallets as you want in MetaMask. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem there.
It's very easy to do, and also it will save you a ton of heartbreak and tears if it does turn out that website or that project that you were trying to mint becomes a rug pull slash hack slash wallet drainer contract. Save yourself some heartbreak. It doesn't take too long just to add an account um to your MetaMask already. And yeah, so then another question then for you. So now we've kind of touched on the individual. So for a lot of the project, because obviously a lot of the hacks would come through where maybe like a project got hacked and then they kind of fell for the wrong link and then started minting a malicious um like minting from a malicious contract, like you were saying before. So in terms of project wise, like how is it best to keep your community safe, and how to, I guess, ensure that you're doing the best you can for your community, that you're, trying to take all the protocols for being safe in this space, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in June I think we saw like 150 plus Discord compromises that were recorded or reported Discord compromises. There's like a nice Twitter thread on that I'll try to find from, who's his name? Zach XBT. Zach XBT is another really big guy in security that I would recommend following. So I'm definitely going to pin something up from him so that you guys can uh, check him out. Let me do that right now. Okay, so I just pinned up like a random thing from Zach XBT. If you haven't heard of him, like definitely check out his page. Like he's probably like the best investigator, on-chain investigator, if you call it that. He has like uncovered a lot of like big scammers before anybody else. So someone to follow. But okay, so to the question, Kumo, of how can a project keep itself safe from kind of like getting compromised and then you end up scamming your own users. So like I said earlier in the conversation, I started an NFT collection. It's called Ancient Warriors. You can see it's one of the listeners in the audience. We dropped the collection in January, and I would say that we never had any like compromises during our launch. We had a smooth launch. Never really had any huge issues with the type of stuff that like Bored Apes is dealing with, for example. And it's obvious why. Like, just think about like how many people are trying to target Bored Apes on a daily basis. Like it's probably a ridiculous amount of people that are trying to target Bored Apes because the prize there is just like so big, as opposed to a launch like Ancient Warriors launch, which Ancient Warriors was projected to do maybe like 1 million in NFT sales at most, right? Like it's not. It is still a sizable amount, but compared to some of like the more hyped drops, obviously like the scammers are going to go after those first. So that's the reason why like some of the smaller projects won't have as big of an issue here. But that's not to say that we don't face kind of like scam threats and these types of issues as well. Like we still have scammers in our community who will DM me, one of the Discord admins, and try to get me to do weird things, which I've obviously never fell for that, but it is still like a risk that we face. I think for our team, we've always had like a tight and like small team in terms of like who has admin privileges on our Discord. So like there's never been a point where like there were more than 3 or 4 people with admin privileges on our Discord. And out of those 3, 4 people, like one of them is me, one of them is my brother, who's my co-founder, one of them is my best friend, who's also my co-founder. So like, you know, that was always helpful to us, like just kind of having like a very tight circle there. I think like for larger projects that oftentimes have to have like several mods, you might have to have like 5 to 10 mods for some bigger discords around launch time, and sometimes like you start to see more turnover in your mods. If you have like 10 mods, then like it's gonna be times where a mod is disappearing or you have to replace a mod. And I think like once that starts to happen and everything is like moving quickly in terms of like, oh, the project is trying to deliver on its roadmap, and we have reveal coming up, and there's a lot of other things that you're thinking about. I think sometimes teams just kind of forget to uh, go through all of like the confirmations with their mods that like have access. So things like, hey, like let's make sure that they have two-factor authentication on. As simple and basic as that is, like a very large portion of scams of these like compromises are happening because people don't have you know two-factor authentication on. That's just basically um you have your email address or your phone number tied to your Discord, so that if someone managed to like hack into your Discord account, they would have to confirm your phone number from their end. They would have to send in a text message, and you would have to confirm that like text message and that login. So that actually would block a large number of these exploits that have happened in the past. I think over time people have started to get like standardized more two-factor authentication, so that is less of a problem today as it was before, but it still does happen. So yeah, if you're a project founder, make sure that you have two-factor authentication on. Make sure that any other admins or any other mods in your server that you're giving special permissions, make sure that they all have two-factor authentication. And that's kind of like the most basic thing right there that's going to resolve a lot of the issues. But there's kind of like two other vulnerability points that I would bring up for Discord compromises. So one is bots on your Discord, right? If you have certain bots that have admin privileges, scammers have figured out like this is actually like a really novel approach to scamming. Like I think this is actually like quite impressive, right? Like scammers have figured out a way to actually hack into your Discord bot that has admin privileges and then send messages from your Discord bot. Like, if you would have asked me a year ago if someone could do that, like I would have been like, I would have been like, no, like that is not, like how is that even possible? So it just goes to show like how smart and like technically savvy a lot of these people can be. You can never underestimate them. And so like that's another vulnerability point. If you have bots on your Discord, most people have like at least one bot in their Discord that has admin privileges. Usually it's like the Me6 bot, or like whatever bot you use for kind of like games and a lot of different features on your Discord, like all happening through one bot. Chances are like it does have admin privileges. But the key is I think it's disabling webhooks. This is like a very specific and nuanced instruction. So if like you're not someone who's like running a Discord, feel free to not listen. But yeah, I mean, disabling webhooks is like something that can prevent those bot exploits from happening. Um, and yeah, it's a pretty nuanced instruction, but again, it's in the settings for Discord. So that's the number two thing, and then number three, which is relevant for everyone. It's not only relevant for project founders, but it's also relevant for people in the community, people who are anyone who's like in these Discords. Number three is like there's always going to be scammers kind of just like lurking within Discord communities. And I'm sure everyone here has experienced both on Discord and on Twitter incessant DMs from people trying to scam you, people sharing random hype drops. They'll share a link, they'll it's like it's so weird. Like sometimes you even feel like the person could potentially be real. I'll tell you what, that there was one the other day, someone in our Discord, and the Ancient Warriors Discord is not like super active nowadays. So like every single time someone sends a message, like I'm always going to see it and I'm always going to go check out what it is. So the other day, someone in our Discord sent a message and he was like, "Hey, I have an other side, or I have an other deed land plot that I'm trying to get rid of. Um, is anyone interested in doing like a trade, like an NFT trade?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Like yeah, I would love to get another side, other deed. I wonder if I have anything that he'd be down to accept in a trade." So I sent him a DM and I was like, "Yeah, here's my wallet. You can check what I have." And the guy starts like listing like NFTs that I have, and he basically just lists like all the most expensive NFTs that I have, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll trade if you're down to trade all of those NFTs. I can trade you my other deed." And as we like continue in the conversation, he starts asking me like, "Okay, so how do you want to go about the trade?" He's like, "Okay, so like what should we do? Okay, maybe you send me two of your NFTs first, and then I'll send you mine, and then you send me the last two at the end." Like all of a sudden the communication just like kind of starts to get weird, and I'm just like, okay, yep, scam, block him from our Discord server, delete the conversation, and then move on. Now, like I won't say like with 100% certainty that was a scam. Like my certainty is probably like closer to 95, maybe 99%. Just based off of like trends that I've seen, like you can kind of just feel like the way that they message you, it tends to feel really anonymous. They tend to kind of want to like put you into like a private environment where other people can't see you. Usually you can't find much information about them in terms of like a Twitter page or mutual followers, a LinkedIn. Like there's a lot of kind of telltale signs that you can often see. But the point of me bringing up that example is just to say that, like, wow, even for our Ancient Warriors server that's like not very active right now, there's still people kind of lurking around and like looking for opportunities to scam. So I can only imagine how many lurkers there are in some of the more active servers right now. So yeah, like everyone still needs to be pretty vigilant about that. Like, the scams are still happening pretty rampantly at the community level, both targeting the leaders of the community as well as the members of the community. So yeah, it's an all around issue.
Oops. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. I know, remember when it was during the bull market, the amount of DMs that were coming in, I was like, oh my goodness, really? How many more of these do you guys have? So that's why we introduced a bot that actually G-Man made. And it was like called Kickbot. So it kicked out any like bots that were just sending random messages to our community members. That's another thing where we always recommend them turn off private DMs from the server so that you don't, just in the case that anything happens, that you don't click any malicious links sent by malicious people. But yeah, like you guys, we've been very fortunate to not have had our Discord compromised. We've been very careful because all of our friends and other projects have at least gotten hacked once, and it's such a, I guess it's like very, very stressful period when your Discord gets hacked, even if it's for like a minute or 2 minutes. Like so many things can happen in that 1 or 2 minutes that will be the make or break of your project, right? So, like a lot of them, what happened was it was that their collab manager or their collab person or one of their team members that had admin rights was talking to another project, well, so-called other project, but it was another person that was pretending to be a collab person from another project. And so what happened was they said, "Oh yeah, so we'd love to collaborate with you, and it's probably like a hype project, so it's good for projects to have whitelist for other projects." And then what happened was they asked to, "Oh, can you check out the website here and see if your wallet address is in there?" And then when it didn't work, they said, "Oh, can you just share your screen? And then we'll have a look." And so that's another thing where if someone else asks you, a stranger, it's like, don't open the door for strangers. It's almost the same as don't share your screen to strangers or people that you don't know. But even if they are people that you do know, you still have to be careful because you don't know if they got hacked or not, right? And so don't share your screen with people that you don't know, because there's a lot of hacks that involve sharing screens. And then another one was that one of my friends got hacked, and I mean, this friend is a friend that doesn't normally message me. So, I mean, if something seems suspicious, then be very careful because this friend sent me a message and was like, "Hey, I'm doing some new art. I'd love you to give me some feedback on it." And then send some Google links, like Google Drive links to download stuff. Another point, don't download anything from anyone. And if unless you like really know that this person is super legit, like don't download anything, even if it's from Google Drive, because you still have to download it and then you still have to open it. So it's the second you open it that it's bye bye. You've been compromised. And like if anyone wants to send you anything, just ask them to send you a screenshot of it, or just ask them in detail, what exactly do you want to send me? Because a lot of the times, a lot of hackers or scammers would send you a link to something to download, or a link to a random website that would probably be like a phishing scam. But there are loads of these kind of hacks that you have to be aware of, because I mean, sometimes it seems very harmless. Oh, I'm just downloading a file. Like, what could it possibly do? Or if something sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Like I had someone from Zara, so-called Zara, scam alert. They messaged me and was like, "Oh, we'd love to collaborate with you. Here's our whatever thing that we're looking for you to do." And I said, "Oh, I don't download files. Can you just send me a screenshot?" So they made up some screenshot to send me, and then they send me their LinkedIn, which was not their one, but it was obviously from a legit person that owned that LinkedIn. And then I was like, okay, it seems very legit. Like they have all the people, the links, whatever. And then when it came to coming up with the contract or whatever it was, they said, "Oh, we're gonna need you to sign some contract for us." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And then they sent the contract from a different email provider, but it was like from whatever at Zara.com, but it was through, it was like, where it's like WeTransfer, where it's not WeTransfer because WeTransfer asks you to verify your email. This one was where you just send it to from whatever, and the from you can just put in whatever email address you want it to do. And I asked them like, well, I mean, it's just a document. Why does it have to go through this weird thing? Can you not just send it to me directly from your provide your work email? And they're like, oh no, it's very complicated. And I was like, oh, okay, scam alert. So yeah, definitely, I'm gone on a ramble here, but yeah, definitely be careful with everyone and anyone who sends you a DM. Treat them all as strangers, and don't trust too easily on that point.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. DMs have, it's unfortunate, but yeah, DMs have definitely become uh, DMs have always been kind of like a shady a shady place to be, even on Instagram. So I think it's just we've gone to more extremes on Twitter and Discord. So I just pinned something up at the top of the screen, which I think is like a good segue from some of the points that you just made about like getting compromised and hey, like if you download a file, like you're now completely compromised. So revoke cache is a tool that I just shared up there. Is a tool that can actually help you to check whether you've been compromised at some level, specifically whether like your wallet has been compromised. So this is different from what Kumo just explained, which is more so at like your computer level. If your computer is compromised, then that's a tough problem. That's more of like a antivirus. Go download a vast antivirus or McAfee web defense and try to like get rid of that Trojan horse, or just run checks on your computer every now and then for those types of things. But I think generally, like if your computer gets um, compromised, the solution is probably getting a new computer. As extreme as that feels, but when it comes to like your wallet being compromised, and you giving approvals over different assets in your wallet to another smart contract, there is a way to go and revoke those approvals and to check and see which approvals you've given. So revoke cache is one tool that does exactly that. They have that's their website, revoke.cache. I have used it before. It's safe, pretty simple tool. You can see the screenshot there, but it basically will show you for all of the different tokens and NFTs that you have in your wallet. Have you given approvals to any like specific platforms? You should expect to see stuff like OpenSea. If you've ever like listed a certain NFT like in a collection that you're holding, let's say you have like two dead friends. I see there's a dead friends holder in the audience. Let's say you have two dead friends, and you listed one on OpenSea. Then on Revoke Cache, you would expect to see that OpenSea actually has an unlimited allowance to your dead friends, which allows OpenSea to list your dead friends, one of your dead friends or two of your dead friends, without like you spending like more gas after you made that first approval. So it's actually a good thing. There's nothing wrong about OpenSea having that approval. But you shouldn't see like a random project. You shouldn't see like Ancient Warriors NFT or like cool cats with a Z instead of an S has unlimited allowance to your Bored Apes, right? Like that is not that's certainly a problem. So if you see anything weird going on like that, as you go through your revoke cache, you're gonna want to revoke all of those approvals. Now, the one caveat is that it does cost a little bit of gas um, in order to revoke approvals. So just expect to have to spend a little bit of ETH to secure yourself. But you would much rather spend $10 in gas or $20 in gas rather than lose $1,000 or $2,000 worth of your NFTs because you were compromised and you didn't revoke that approval. Okay, so yeah, definitely check out Revoke Cache. They also have a Chrome extension that kind of like follows you from website to website as you are minting new NFTs. And similar to MetaMask, it will tell you if like an NFT collection is trying to uh, drain your wallet or is trying to get approvals over all the assets in your wallet. Um, Now, let me take a pause real quick because it seems like Kumo's computer crashed. So I'm hoping that she gets back in time so that the Twitter space doesn't die. Let me send her a message and try to get her back.
So
Okay.
sorry.
Now I was just afraid that the space was gonna die. That's perfect.
Sorry, I don't know what I've missed, but continue. Sorry about that. Slight panic
Yeah, I
attack.
mean we were just talking about accounts getting compromised, and it seems like your account was momentarily compromised there.
Twitter's finest.
Yeah, so we were talking about it from more so of like the wallet angle, like your wallet getting compromised, you giving approvals to other smart contracts over assets in your wallet. So I was talking about revoke.cash and basically walked through how to use revoke.cash, what the different things mean on the platform. And yeah, it's just my recommendation for any NFT collector. It's almost like a credit check. It's like getting your credit checked or running your computer's antivirus once a month. If you've been doing some degenning in the streets, you've been flipping some NFTs over the past couple weeks, and you haven't checked your approvals. You should probably check your approvals every now and then, and just give it a quick confirmation that you're not at risk at the wallet level.
Yeah, it's always important to check because isn't it sometimes that it's not what my fear is that it's not that the site initially was compromised, but then somewhere they got compromised, which meant that your wallet then becomes vulnerable to whatever happened to them. Was that what happened with Me Six or Collabland?
Yeah. Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, because if you had already connected your wallet to something, and then later on they get compromised, and somehow like you know, the, now there's an evil person behind that smart contract, and maybe you had already given it some type of approval that allows them to do something bad to you. I think as a general practice, no NFT project should ever like ask you for the ability to like move your assets or like withdraw your assets, um, right? Like or unlimited allowance. Like no NFT project should have to ask you that. But maybe the one case where you might see something like that is like for staking projects, because you do have to like give them approval to like move your NFT into their like staking pool or whatever. But I don't believe they like it doesn't it does, there's no reason why it has to be like unlimited approvals, and it should only be over that specific NFT collection. It shouldn't be over any other NFTs or any other assets that are in your wallet. So yeah, I think like even if a malicious actor manages to like compromise a project that you have already like connected your wallet to, unless you've given it like those dangerous approvals that no one should really be requesting of you in the first place, you are still going to be safe from that attack.
In other words, be very careful with everything you sign.
Yep, exactly. And I mean that's how we should be in life in general, right? We don't just go
Yeah.
around signing like random papers when people hand them to us in public.
I mean, I've seen people do that before. I'm
Well,
like, have you guys read what you're signing? And they're like, I mean, it should be safe, right? I'm like, I mean, it's I'm sure it's safe, but it's a matter of like whether there's some sort of an exploit in that contract is a different story altogether.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, people tend to not read when there's a lot of text involved. They're like, I'm sure, you just kind of skim through the terms and conditions, and you go to the very end and you check that box and you just confirm.
yeah,
Yeah, we have to be a bit more vigilant in this kind of Web3 space, since a lot it's like there's a lot at stake. I mean, if it's just a matter of whether you work an extra hour or two is a difference than whether you lose like thousands of dollars or your NFTs, your prized JPEGs, as some might say. Um, but I'm going to pause you there and say that we do have a POAP up for grab, as with every other week, with our Kumo talks and Kumo workshops. So today's secret code for POAP collection or claiming is Gib Kumo seed phrase. So thanks, Coco, for that. So Gib, so GIBKUMO seed phrase. SEEDPHRASE. So go claim your POAP. And it's obviously give because you don't actually give me your seed phrase. As we know, you do not give anyone your seed phrase. So you gotta be, yes, exactly, Iman. That is Gib Kumo seed phrase. So that is your secret code. Go claim your POAP. And yeah, so I'm super conscious with the time. We have been here for about an hour. So, I mean, if anyone has any questions or would like to pop on and say something or share their experiences, feel free to request to come up. Otherwise, we can talk a little bit. Um, what else can we talk about regarding security? I feel like there's so much that you can talk about that where to even kind of pinpoint interesting things.
yeah. I mean, I tend to think about like where things are going. Because I know I talked earlier about like some of the security innovations that are being made right now, and
Hmm.
how they're going to stop a lot of like the exploits that we're seeing today. Um, I think at the same time, we shouldn't rest our guard even as we start to see more solutions on the table. We should expect that the malicious attackers are going to keep attacking. They're going to find other exploits. It's going to be like whack-a-mole. We're going to, cover one hole, hammer down another hole. The heads are going to pop up in the other corners. So I guess it's anyone's best guess what like the scams are going to look like, in a few months. Like I'm sure no one really expected to see Beeple getting his Twitter compromised. Zeneca got his Twitter compromised. Bored Apes got their Twitter compromised. Like a lot of like big like influencers in the space got their Twitters compromised at different points this summer, and that was kind of like a new thing that we hadn't seen happening too much in the space over the past few months. So yeah, I'm just like I'm curious what the next trends might look like. Um, part of me thinks about like the types of platforms that a lot of people are working on right now in Web3. So we've seen the success of like marketplaces, we've seen the success of wallets. What we haven't seen be successful yet is like Web3 social platforms. So there's a lot of people that are working on like new social media platforms that are kind of taking elements of Twitter and Discord, but implementing like more Web3 aspects. So like you can connect your wallet, and your account is like tied to your wallet identity, and people can see like what NFTs you have, and like there's kind of deeper sense of community on these platforms. So those might be places where you see a lot of like risk starting to rise as these platforms start to see more usage. Like right now, I'm pretty active on GM. It's a one GM.xyz is essentially like a Twitter slash Discord combination. You guys should check it out. GM.xyz is really cool. We actually just started a security community, the first security community on GM.xyz, and people have been engaging there. Like it's been a good time. But yeah, I think those are some of the platforms that we've been speaking to more and more often, because we think that like in the next bull run, we're gonna see like Web3 social is gonna become a thing. Like we're gonna have Web3 like social media in the next bull run, and that's gonna come with a whole host of crazy issues and scammers attacking in new ways. So as much as you can try to think about, try to put yourself in the mind state of these attackers and think like, hey, what might they try to do next? What platforms are they going to try to hit? How are they going to try to confuse us this time? It's helpful if people are just starting to think more about those things, so that like when they do happen, perhaps we'll be a little bit more ready for it.
Yeah, think like a hacker. Isn't that why big companies, security companies, like look for hackers to hire
Exactly.
to try and break their system?
White hats.
Yeah. Is that what you guys have? Are you guys the cause of most of these hacks in the space?
I can't say too much, but certainly we're certainly not the attackers. But yeah, we'll have to engender ourselves with some of them just to get a little bit of the inside scoop.
Yeah, I think it's important as well to, to think ahead, because it's always good to prevent than to, you know, treat the issue. Like, good to have to think, have thought about all the possibilities. Obviously, you're not going to be able to cover every single one of them, but to be able to do as many as you can before they arise will definitely be good for the security side of the Web3 space.
Absolutely.
So I guess it is now an hour. I was going to say 4 o'clock, but I think everyone is on a different time zone, so I can't really say it's 4 o'clock. So we're going to start wrapping things up. So, is there anything else you would like to bring up, Iman, even regarding whatever you're working on or anything like that? Feel free to shoot away before we adjourn this wonderful Twitter space.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the beauty about security is that you can kind of talk about a lot of like more general and mutual things that we can all relate with. So I kind of got caught up in that and didn't share too much about the product that we're building. But since you guys stayed here this long, I'll humor you. Our company is called Shield. um, Shield, like we're shielding the users within Web3 from scams. We see ourselves as essentially a back end technology, like an API, that can detect scams and help platforms protect their users from those scams. So we basically integrate with marketplaces like OpenSea. We integrate with wallets like MetaMask and a large list of other types of platforms. They use our scam detection models. So we essentially are like do their heavy lifting around security, so that they don't have to spend as much time struggling to figure out how to detect scams, and instead they can just kind of like automate that process through us, and they can focus on doing the things that they're actually really good at, rather than having to build out like an entire security team just to keep their users secure. So yeah, that's what Shield is doing today. It is more of let's say like a B2B focused technology. The people that we're really talking to are the platforms as opposed to individual investors. However, should be the end of next week. By the end of next week or so, we are releasing a community tool, essentially a public facing application of our technology. It's going to be a tool that you can use to scan smart contracts and get some different metrics about the smart contract. Um, Essentially, applying our technology to see whether that's like a safe smart contract for you to interact with or not. So this is a scanner tool that we'll be putting out. Again, we'll be putting out over the next 1 to 2 weeks. It is going to be a free tool, and it's going to be geared towards people like you guys, everybody that's here in the audience, NFT collectors, crypto investors. So I look forward to sharing this with everyone. If you're interested in using this tool, go ahead and give me a follow, because I definitely will share that on my social, and you'll hopefully you'll see the share when it comes out. We'll try to make sure that it's seen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Iman, for sharing that. And super excited. And I think definitely it's something that is needed in this space, especially with all the wonderful hacks that are happening, as we have mentioned earlier. So I guess with that, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. Well, I'm not going to leave you all. I'm going to let you guys leave and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you to everyone who joined, and I hope that you guys took something from this Kumo Talks. And thank you so much, Iman, for joining us and sharing your insights with us regarding the Web3 security, and appreciate you all so much. And thank you so much for your time. And yeah, so with that, I say wish you a lovely day, and we'll catch you guys next week for our Kumo Talks, the last episode of season 2. So take care and have a beautiful day. Thank you guys. Bye.